Greetings, students. This is part 2 of our Eastern Mediterranean notes. In the last video, we looked at the physical characteristics of Cyprus and Turkey. Today, we will start by moving southeast of Turkey. The countries we will learn about have been heavily populated since Bible times. After World War I, France and Britain took over this area, and they called their new controlled territories mandates. These mandates are supposed to be self-governed and independent nations. As you can see looking at this map, the French mandate is Syria, and it includes the countries of Syria and Lebanon. And the British mandate is called Palestine. So let's start with our first country. Syria has many farming towns, and the area receives about 40 inches of rain a year. The Syrian desert covers most of the country, and it does lie on a rocky desert plateau, as you can see there on the map. The most important resource here is oil, and the Euphrates River, if you can find that up to the north, is vital for providing fresh water to the country. The capital and the largest city is Damascus. In ancient times, Damascus was a very convenient spot for caravans that were traveling through the desert, both to and from the Euphrates River. It also claims to be the oldest continually inhabited city in the world. It actually was already a city during Abraham's time. We also know that from Scripture, Paul, one of my most favorite people in the Bible, he became a Christian on the road to Damascus. Today, 90% of the people are Muslim, and unfortunately, we do see the persecution of Christians here. That is common. Lebanon is our next country. The capital is Beirut, and at one time, it was known as the Paris of the Middle East because of all its splendor. Let me go back. But then a civil war broke out between Muslims and Christians. That warfare erupted in 1975, and Beirut quickly became just a pile of rubble. Today, there are some parts in Beirut that are very modernized and back to their former glory. Students, this concludes the Syrian mandate. Moving now to the Palestine one. Both Jews and Christians call this specific area the Holy Land because most events from Scripture happened here. There are 3 issues that plague these countries, and Islam, oil, and the opposition towards Israel are those 3. Of those, the most volatile is probably the opposition to Israel. Looking specifically at that country, it's the only non-Muslim country in this region. It's that odd man out. It is the promised land. This was the land that God gave to his chosen people. Today, Israel welcomes Jews from all over the world. One interesting fact about the Israeli citizens, they all must complete military service. So women in particular are supposed to serve 2 years, and men must serve 3. Now, where you could argue, is that right? Is that wrong? Should that be allowed? One thing we can say, being a country that is completely surrounded by your enemies, it is important for these citizens to believe in defending the nation of Israel. Students, this concludes our chapter.